comfortable. Practice taking off with the throttle and the clutch at the same time. And remember, do not drop the clutch until you are like actually moving, because that's how people stall their bikes. See a guy at a red light and he's stalls his bike and everyone behind him is blowing their horn. They're like, what the hell are you doing? That's because he probably just went like that with the clutch and stalled it. So you never want to do that. Never do you just want to drop the clutch. Alright, so now you're comfortable with first gear. Well, you're ready to go into second. How do you do that? Remember what I was talking about? The gears, one down is first gear, which is we're currently in first gear. Half a click up is neutral. And then one full click up is second gear. So we're currently in first gear, right? And we want to go into second gear. You're going to pull in the clutch, let go of the throttle, click up. Now we're in second, gear indicator there. In second gear, we are. The second gear obviously has a little bit more oomph to it, so be a little careful here. Depending on your bikes, it's really going to depend how fast you can go in second gear. Right now, you need to downshift. You're coming up on a red light. You don't want to just go ahead and apply your brakes. It's always a good idea to downshift before you hit the red light. Motorcycles are very good with engine braking. So let's say that I'm coming up to a light and I need to downshift. First of all, pull your clutch in, tap your brakes a bit, click down, downshifted into first. That's how you downshift. Now let's say that you want to use engine braking, which is a more advanced riding skill. It's not incredibly advanced, but it's not something that I recommend for beginners to do. And I'll show you how that works. I remember one of the first times I tried engine braking on my old Honda Shadow, the rear wheel locked up and it caused me to skid, which is a little scary for me. And there's a way to do that, and I'm sure if you watch enough videos you'll understand. But basically what you'll do, say I'm up in first gear, now I'm up in third gear, right? I need to slow down, put the throttle, let go of the clutch, put the throttle again, let go of the clutch. See how much I slowed down, and I did not even apply the brakes at all. And that's how you can engine brake. Alright, now another thing that I'll talk about is maneuvering. We'll talk about slow speed maneuvers, and we'll talk about higher speed maneuvers, and we'll talk about counter steering and counter weighting. When you're at slow speed, your bike you turn right and you go right. You turn left and you go left. That's what happens at slow speed. Counter weighting is pushing your bike to one side and moving your bike to the other side. That's only at slow speeds, usually below 15 miles an hour. That's your parking lot speed, or your neighborhood speed, and that's when counterweighting applies. You turn left, you go left. Turn right, you go right. But after 15 miles per hour, that's when things change. After 15, you'll get something called counter steering. And basically how that works is that, let's say I want to turn left. Well, I have to push right to turn left, which actually turns my wheel to the left. But it's going to cause it, the wheel slightly turns to the left when you push to the right, which causes you to take a left. So push right to go right and push left to go left. Sorry, so going about 10 miles an hour here. I'll go 15 and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so push left, go left. Push right, go right. So let's see that again. Alright. Push right, go right. Push left, go left. Alright, the next thing we'll talk about is a swerve. Say there's an object in front of you, and you need to swerve to avoid it. Basically, the object of avoiding a swerve is explained as 2 consecutive counter steers. So if you have something that you're about to hit and you need to swerve out of the way, you'll do this, basically. So 2 consecutive counter steers, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit better up here in a second. Okay. Alright, let's say that second light right there is the object in my path. So I'm about to hit it and I don't know what to do. Push right, and then you go left. And that's how you swerve. So now, say you're now a parking lot master. You are confident enough to go on the road. What do you do? How can you be safe? Well, I'll explain all of those things right now. Alright, so you approach a stop sign, you downshift, and you apply your brakes. You give it that good 3 seconds, and then you slowly apply the throttle and slowly ease the clutch, and you're on the move again. You got another stoplight, and the same thing applies. If you were in first gear between that stoplight, all you'll want to do is just pull the clutch in and tap the brakes. Just remember that that before you come to a stop sign, to slowly, whenever you're downshifting, just slowly use the clutch and don't be quick and crazy with it, because that's how people get hurt. Alright, so now we're going about 25 miles an hour and there's a turn. Remember how I was saying push right to go right? So just pushing right, going right. That wasn't so bad. Alright, so next we got a roundabout. Make sure there's no traffic, obviously. And then the same thing applies. There's another turn up here. Remember, push right, go right, push left, go left. Downshift before the turn. Apply the brakes if you need to. Do not brake in a turn, because the traction on your wheels is mostly for turning. Whenever you're in a turn, let's say you're using 90% traction in a turn. You don't want to brake, because that's going to use more traction. You only have about 10% traction to brake in a current turn. It really depends on how far of a lean angle you have. But if you use more traction on braking than you use on steering, that's going to cause you to crash. High side, low side, neither of it's any good, so just make sure that you're careful. And also make sure you never lock up your brakes. You want to be progressive with your front brake. Let's say that I'm moving pretty quick and I need to stop. Watch out for a gravel, and then be progressive. Squeeze harder and harder on the front brake. Only as you're stopping, though. Do not squeeze abruptly. So you can see how that's not a good thing to do. You don't want to squeeze abruptly like that, because at higher speeds on this bike you would probably end up doing an endo or something. So you want to be progressive and not squeeze, but be slow and steady. Now, I was taking the motorcycle safety course. There was a guy that did something that was kind of, it was funny to me, but it was kind of tragic. He freaked out when he had to stop, and when he's grabbing the brakes, he twists on the throttle at the same time. And when he was scared, he let go of the clutch, which causes it to stall, just like that. So, not only that, but it also engaged the engine, because he let go of the clutch, which engaged the engine while he pulled the throttle back, and that causes the bike to do a wheelie. And it's not the type of wheelie you're trying to do. So the guy that did that almost failed the safety course, because he made a handful of mistakes like that. So that's basically all I got for this video. You have any questions, any comments, any things about this bike, any things about other bikes? I've not ridden a ton of bikes, but I would like to say that I know a decent amount about motorcycles. So just leave me a comment or send me a message if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to get back to you. And that's it for this video.